Hi guys, this is Snark and Spark, and I'm Emily. Welcome back. And today I'm going to talk about homework, what's going on in the Magical Stitches group, what is going on in Daily 30. There really aren't any updates to Semi-Sane that I know of, and also just some random Flosstube stuff that I'm interested in. I want to show you what I got myself for Valentine's Day. And yeah, so let's get going. First and foremost, I want to say thank you again to everyone who has wished me a belated birthday, and everyone who has given their kind words and support during these last couple of weeks with all of that going on. But also, if you are stuck in this weather, which by now I think the entire country is in this cold weather, I feel you. I am here for you. I have been in it for weeks now, and I hate that it has finally traveled elsewhere, but I'm also a little glad that it has finally traveled elsewhere. We are at the point where there's snow pretty much up to that window. Yeah. It just keeps snowing and snowing and snowing and snowing. I actually tried to film this yesterday on President's Day because I was off, but school ended up being canceled for my son, and so he was home. He had a virtual learning day, and I don't know what was going on with the weather, like if I'm really sensitive to like barometric pressure changes, and with like all the cold fronts and stuff rolling in, I looked back at the footage and it was bad. I was dealing with flash migraines all throughout the day, which if you've never heard of that or don't know what it is, think a migraine, regular normal migraine where, you know, it attacks all of a sudden and your head hurts, and sometimes, you know, for me, when I get a migraine, my head hurts like nothing else. Like feels like something is trying to split my head open. But I'm also really sensitive to light and sound. So any noise sounds like it's amplified. As if I've got a pair of headphones strapped to my head and someone turned the volume all the way off and I can't take the headphones off. It sucks. And any sort of light is like stabbing, and I sit like this a lot. Like, even with my eyes closed, it will still hurt. Yeah, migraines are not fun, and nausea. Yeah, it sucks. And those can last, if it's a regular migraine, I mean, that can come on and last for hours. But flash migraines, I don't know what's worse, having a migraine that sticks around all day, or flash migraines that happen throughout the day, but are sporadic. So for me, what happens is I'll be fine. I will be perfectly fine. And then all of a sudden I will get this searing, pounding pain, usually right here, like right above one of my eyes, usually my right eye, that will just spread across my forehead. And again, feels like my head is being ripped open. And I have all of the effects of a migraine, but maybe lasts a minute or a couple minutes or 45 seconds. And I never know how long they're going to last. I never know when they're going to come. And it sucks because they'll just pop up out of nowhere and hurt for a couple minutes, and then they go away. And sometimes it goes away for hours and comes back. Sometimes it goes away for just a couple minutes, and then I have another one. And yesterday was one of those days. I was feeling fine, and then mid-morning, the first one came. I was like, okay, maybe I'm just getting a regular migraine, and then it went away. I'm like, we're gonna have one of those days. Cool. So, yeah, I tried to film anyways, and you could just tell. I shared in the video what was kind of going on, but you could just see that my energy level just went from like normal to it tanked all of a sudden, and I'm pretty sure at one point I had my eyes closed and I was just talking with my eyes closed, and then it passes and you see my energy level like slowly rise back up to like its normal levels by the end of the video, and I'm back to my normal self. And I just like watched it later. I didn't even watch the whole video because I stopped, took a step back, uploaded it, And when I came back to edit it, I sat down and realized I couldn't remember a single thing I had talked about because my head was hurting. And I had an hour's worth of footage that I couldn't recall what was on it. And I just decided, after just kind of skipping through it a little bit and looking at chunks and pieces, it wasn't worth me taking the time to actually try and sit down and edit it into something worthwhile when I could just take the rest of the day off, rehydrate, get some food in me, rest, relax, turn the lights off, finish Bridgerton, and then try again today. And that's what I'm doing. So I am much better today. We got up, my son went to school, I went to work, and now I'm home. I need my water. Okay, found my water. Talking about being dehydrated was like, oh, I'm thirsty. So let's jump into homework. We're going to do daily 30 first. Daily 30 first. And then I'm going to pop into character and do magical stitches. And then I just want to show you what I worked on. And yeah, so let's take a look. So it is Keeping Up Appearances Week. Now, I had no idea what this was. I saw it and went... So this is all based off this, like, British comedy sitcom. Never heard of it. But I guess it's about Hyacinth Bucket, who likes to pronounce her last name as Bouquet. And I guess she's just an interesting character. I'm going to read the first paragraph. And the Bouquet residence, the lady of the house speaking, Hyacinth Bucket, or Bouquet as she says, lives to impress, and she has no patience for people who pretend to be superior because that makes it so much harder for those of us who really are. Assured of her own eminence, she spends her days trying to make sure everyone else is too. This week we'll visit Hyacinth and Richard in one of the funniest British sitcoms to ever air. So that's what all these are. And there's quite a few tasks this week. There are 7 total. We have 5 regular challenges. We have a 6th as a bonus, and then the 7th is the regular 30 minutes a day cross-stitching. So we've got, so her last name is spelled like a bucket, but she repeatedly pronounces it as bouquet. And oddly enough, all of her sisters apparently have flower names. It's Hyacinth, Daisy, Violet, and Rose. A bouquet of flowers. So we are tasked to stitch on a whip with either a bucket or a bouquet in the design. And what comes to mind for me, I don't have anything with a bucket on it that I know of, but I definitely think I was immediately drawn to beach scenes. Like building sandcastles, you'd have a bucket, or also gardening scenes or planting, anything with plants, because sometimes you might have a bucket for the seed or for water or soil or whatever it is. So maybe lean that direction, but the same thing applies for bouquets. It's just flowers. It just can't be one single flower by itself. I had the piece I UFO'd probably would count for this one because it had bouquets all over it, but I UFO'd that one and it is in the drawer of shame, so we don't talk about it. But I do have the Praise Him with Strings, and I might be able to get away with saying it has a bouquet on it because there's a mass of vines and stuff coming up from around the guitar that I could say is a bouquet of greenery, leafery, possibly. And all of the stitch counts for these are either 400 stitches or 4 hours, or you could do 500 stitches or 5 hours. So number 2, well, at least 1 through 5 are 400, 500, 4 hours, 5 hours. So number 2 is all about this China pattern that Hyacinth has that is described as Royal Dalton or Doulton with the hand-painted periwinkles. So this is, did some research about what this China pattern actually is. It's actually called a organza, manufactured by a specific China company. Then the company was overtaken by the Royal Doulton in the early 1970s, blah, 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 blah. So in honor of that, we have to put stitches into a piece with a dish, cup, cutlery, something like that, or something royal in the design. So this is very open. So you could easily do any sort of kitchen pieces or table spreading pieces, cakes, cupcakes, those things. There's usually going to be some sort of dish there, any sort of tea or coffee drinks. You could definitely work there. Like, what for me, I'm thinking, this is just an example. Book lovers bookshelf here has a coffee cup in it. Let's Talk Autumn, which is something I'm supposed to start this month, has a cup in it, has like a thermos cup, but it's still a cup. But then anything royal, same thing. Castles, knights, princesses, kings, queens, crowns. Hogwarts has a castle, and royalty usually lives in a castle. You could do princesses. I also, a little kind of tongue-in-cheek, just like the first prompt mentioned, I also thought like baseball teams, or just sports, maybe not baseball teams, but sports teams in general, because there are the Royals. So if you had any sort of, is it baseball? I don't know. I'm showing my lack of sports ball knowledge. I think my father-in-law would be disappointed. I know one of his teams is the Royals. But yeah, so anything like that where I would think you could actually get away with it being royal. Purple is also associated with royalty. So maybe something purple. I don't know. So number 3, the show was canceled after 5. They call them series. We call them, guess not. We call them seasons here in the States. But so the lead actress decided to quit. And because she left, they thought it would be better to just end the show instead of trying to either go on without her or like replace her. Like it would just lose its charm, I guess. So we have to stitch on a whip with a key in the design because she was the key actress. So anything, that one's self-explanatory. You're not really going to be able to fudge your way around this one. There's that, is it Stitchrovia, the key to my heart pattern, that's a giant key. Sammy mentioned, she has her Phantom of the Masquerade, and the cat has a key necklace. I don't think I've got anything with keys on it. If you are doing a map, a map will have a key or a legend, usually in the bottom right hand corner, sometimes the bottom left. I don't know, maybe look up the definition of key and see what pops up, and if you've got anything that fits under it, use it. Why not? Just pop in like that screenshot. That's what I would do. That's probably what I will do. I just didn't feel like looking it up right now. Then number 4, apparently all of the actors who played some of the key characters, all of their birthdays are in the month of February. Like, hey, February babies, what up? So we have to stitch on a monthly piece that represents February. Obviously there's a lot there. I have the year in chalk designs, I have the February piece, there's the word plays, there's any sort of monthly thing is going to signify February that is made for February. But we also have the option of having a piece with a heart in the design. So that could also be a lot of things. There are plenty of Valentine's Day pieces if you want to do those, or just cute little simple hearts. There's a lot of stuff that has a heart that's not necessarily Valentine's Day or February related. It's just cute and lovey. Oddly enough, so I could use this because right here in the center is a heart. So it's got a heart on it. But also letters from Hogwarts, and I'll show that when I get to it. The part that I am working on, so I have finished enough of the border to actually get to work on one of the sections, and I've decided to do that. The thing you're making is a love potion, and part of the steam tendrils that the love potion lets off are little hearts. So I'm gonna I can use that as well. Yep. Moving on, number 5. This is the last like prompt one, and apparently they have this like son who we never see, who is away from home and studying needlework at a polytechnic college. So we are supposed to stitch on a whip that we can relate to a mystery in some way, because there's this mysterious son. So I mean, I think anything that was a mystery Sal, anything that where, you know, I'm thinking like the Linen and Threads yearly samplers, or any of the, just any sampler really that's been released that's a mystery. Any of those, I think you could also really tie in if you've got anything that's literary that's based off of a mystery. Why not? You know, if you've got a Sherlock Holmes piece or anything like that, any literary tied to those great mystery figures or detectives, or if you've got something that just is kind of weird in your pattern, like make up a story about it. It just has to be creative. I don't know if I've got, I mean, theoretically, if I really wanted, I could say some of these are mystery books, or I could be like, whose bookshelf is this? It's not my bookshelf. Who took a bite out of this apple? Dun dun dun. Like, you just have to be creative and just let your brain just go wild in this situation. So the bonus prompt for this week is to actually watch an episode of the show. Watch an episode of Keeping Up Appearances and take a picture of your whip along with the beginning of the show, and then watch the episode, include another photo of your ending, where you're ending at, and include what made you laugh, if anything, in the episode. And then last but not least is the non-counting challenge, where it's just stitch for 30 minutes every day for 5 days, and you'll get awarded. Plain and simple. I really like that. Actually, it's very soothing. I did not stitch at all yesterday. Not surprising with the way I was feeling, except for to do this. So I sat down, set a timer on my phone, and even though it felt like the 30 minutes took forever because I wasn't feeling well, I'm really glad I did it, because stitching for me is still very much of a calming process. It is very meditative for me. It is very anxiety reducing, and I'm glad that I did sit down. Even if it was just those 30 minutes, I still sat down and did it. Moving on. So now it is time for magical stitches. I get unnecessarily excited about magical stitches. I just am really thrilled to be a part of the group, and not just involved, but also a team leader. It's really exciting for me. There are a bunch of us, but it's still incredibly exciting. So hello to all of my fellow campers, and hello to all of Team Demigod, hello to all of Team God, hello to all of Team Titan. Just hi, welcome, glad to have you here, and I am just excited to be on this adventure with all of you guys. So I want to do a little bit of a twist on talking about magical stitches. So I have decided, reading through the prompts, sometimes the prompts can be a little vague, especially if you're not reading along with us. And I know personally, when I first joined, I joined during the Harry Potter year, and I decided I didn't feel like rereading Harry Potter, because by the time I joined Harry Potter, it was like halfway through the year. It was past halfway. We were on book like 5 or 6, and I wasn't going to just jump in at the end of the series and not reread the first several. But then participating in the prompts, I was lost at points, because they, obviously if you were in the group, you see they give us a little recap of what's going on this week, and we have tasks tied into it. And when you're not reading the book, sometimes it doesn't quite make sense. Like, you can do the prompt, obviously you can join without having read the novels at all, but sometimes it doesn't add up. And I just remember feeling kind of left out. So I've decided that I'm going to kind of do a running recap, at least up to where I am in the books. For example, I am not at the point in the book where this week's prompt is. So it's a little vague to me as well. And it's been a long time since I read these books. I read them when they first came out, and I never actually finished the series. I think I read the first 2 or 3. So rereading them as an adult, there's so much that I have forgotten that this is actually kind of a nice refresher. So if you're not interested in this part, I'm sorry, fast forward before I get to the prompt, because right now I'm going to jump into character and I'm going to do a little bit of a recap from what happened last week from the book up into where I am in the book, and then we'll talk about the homework. So, hi campers, welcome back. So let's check in on Percy. Let's talk about what's going on. So at the end of last week, we had made it to Camp Half-Blood. Clarice, who is a daughter of Ares, has decided we are gonna be her enemy, and she tried to attack him in the bathrooms, which is where that the toilet prompt came in, was because she tried to give him a swirly, and he's the son of the sea god, so the water kind of shot up everywhere. Then we got to play Capture the Flag later on, and it was during Capture the Flag that we found out that Percy is in fact the son of Poseidon. He was claimed. We did our whole Haley Haley chant. And then after that, aside from all of the questions he has about who his dad is and what is going on with his life and what is happening, we have found out what this mystery is, what has been going on, why are we all going utterly insane and freaking out about the summer solstice, and what's going to happen at the summer solstice, and why is the weather so messed up, why are there thunderstorms and crazy things happening. Well, turns out at the summer solstice, that's a hard word, somebody stole the master lightning bolt. The master lightning bolt. Who's stupid enough to do that? Well, guy upstairs thinks that Daddy P, the uncle in the ocean, sea dude, stole it. But here's the thing. Gods can't steal other gods' power tokens. So you can't just go up and take Zeus's firebolt. Poseidon can't just go up and take it. Zeus just can't go up and take Poseidon's trident, because those are their symbols of power. They cannot do it. But there's nothing that says they can't get someone like a human or a mortal or a demigod to intervene on their behalf and to do it for them. So big guy upstairs thinks that uncle in the ocean had a kid, by the way, that he's not supposed to have. I know, this is complicated. Had this kid and got his kid to steal it. So he thinks Percy stole the lightning bolt, and and so they're fighting up on Olympus. And there's been an ultimatum, a deadline given. Zeus says, bring me back the bolt by summer solstice. Uncle in the ocean says, apologize by the summer solstice. Otherwise, all out war. And if that happens, that could be like World War III on Earth, and we barely managed to not have a World War III these last few years, so how about we don't actually have one? Okay? Cool. So in order to appease our peoples, we have seen that Percy has been given a quest, and when you are granted a quest, you are allowed to take 2 companions with you, and he has chosen Grover, the satyr, and he chose Grover, one, because he's his best friend, but also Grover's fate is linked to Percy's fate. Basically, Grover's job was to get Percy to the camp safely, and it's kind of up in the air about whether or not he truly did that, since he was unconscious at the time of Percy's arrival. Don't worry about it, that's all you need to know. So basically, they said, Grover, if you want to be the best satyr, you have to go on a quest with him, and you both have to survive, basically. So he's kind of an automatic shoo-in. But then he also takes Annabeth, because Annabeth is the daughter of Athena, And she knows a lot about what's going on. She's very smart, and she likes to plan. So she's coming along. Sorry, itchy. So they set off on their quest. Everything seems to be okay for the first, hour. And then everything hits the fan. Because we get dropped off, everything's fine, but then we get on a bus, and who get on the bus but the kindly ones? And if you're not reading the book, I will let you know. The kindly ones are the Furies. Yes, the Furies. And all 3 of them got on the bus. And they were going to attack Percy and Annabeth and Grover. And he fought them off. His daddy-o gave him a pin that is actually a sword, and if he takes the cap off, it becomes the sword, and he whap, 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 whap. But long story short, they fought, and he ended up blowing up a bus in the process. No big deal. They escape, but then, of course, they come across this way too conveniently placed Gnome Emporium, a statuary, if you will, and they're like, oh, smells like food, let's go in. And then this lady locks them in, but they're like, oh, it's food, I'm hungry, blah, 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 blah. Turns out this lady was Medusa. And she knew right away who they were, that Annabeth was a daughter of Athena. You have to know the mythology behind it. Basically, she has it out for Athena, and basically all of Athena's prodigy, so she was gonna, Annabeth, but then, Percy was Percy. So she's like, I'll just turn you into a statue. But luckily they got out of there. Grover figured it out. Then Annabeth did. They saved themselves. Percy chopped off her head. And then because he is himself, he decided to send Medusa's head to the gods. They leave there. And they are now on the road again. There was this really weird thing with a poodle. They found a poodle who was lost from his family, and there was a reward, and the poodle could talk to Grover. Admittedly, I read this part recently, and I was like, sure, we'll go with it. But there was a dog, and the dog was lost, and his family had offered a reward, so they turned the poodle in, got the reward money, and then they bought train tickets to go across the country, because they need to get to Los Angeles. Because everyone thinks that the person who actually stole the Master Bolt is Hades. And Hades, the way to get into the underworld is in Los Angeles. So they've got to get all the way across the country, decided to take a train. But the reward money only is going to get them far enough to Denver. And right now, where I have reached the point in the book, they are at a layover in St. Louis. The train has arrived in St. Louis. They're going to be there for a few hours, so they decide to go sightseeing. And they go to the St. Louis Arch. And everything's hunky-dory, except that it's not. Because guess who's there? Echidna, the mother of all monsters. Of course she is. And she has brought one of her children, the Chimera. Dun dun dun. Which is why, and that is what brings us to also the tie-in to the monthly prompt. Why are we fighting monsters? Well, we're demigods and gods and titans. But why specifically are we fighting the Minotaur, Medusa, and the Chimera? Well, at the beginning of the book, Percy fights the Minotaur. Breaks off its horn. Then, about halfway through, like I just got through, he fights Medusa. Cuts off her head. Point I just finished, he fights a Chimera, which is this half lion snake thing. And they're fighting, and the thing bites him, and he feels like he has nowhere else to go, nowhere else to do, and so he jumps into the river, and he's in the river, and because he is the sea, the son of the sea, it heals him and brings him back, rejuvenates him, and then some lady shows up and gives him this prophecy that's you must go to the west. No, go to Santa Monica and beware the gifts. And that's basically all I got to. So, ta-da, that's where we're at. Welcome to your recap. I probably will have it finished by the end of this week, so which means by next week, which will be the last task, we will all be caught up. Because the task right now it's called Stuck in Time. We are on week 3, and this isn't the right one. The questers have made it to Las Vegas. So obviously I'm not there in the book where I'm at. They're in St. Louis. But for the prompt, they've made it to Las Vegas. They're in the Lotus Hotel. But they're kind of stuck there, so we've decided to devote our time to something that we could be stuck on. So I'm talking too fast for my brain to keep up with. This week is 1,000 stitches. One whip, 1,000 stitches, and it has to be something that you think you could be stuck on. Now, it's not necessarily a negative thing. You could be stuck on something where maybe you're really frustrated with it, or it just takes you a really long time, or maybe it's a really confetti heavy piece or a confetti heavy section, and it's just getting you kind of stuck. I know for me, I feel like I get stuck on this one because I think in the past couple of weeks I've put like 600 stitches in this, but I just feel like I'm getting absolutely nowhere with it. There are so many color changes, there's so many blocks, there's a lot of counting with this just to make sure I'm not getting confused and I'm not getting lost, and I feel stuck, and I just have to plug away on it. So that's an example. Or it could be something that you absolutely adore and you absolutely love, and so you just feel as if you're stuck to it and you can't put it down and do something else. So I have decided to use Australian Dragon for this week's prompt. One, because I need to. Also, it is my zombie run piece, and I haven't touched it at all, so I kind of have to. But every time I pull this piece out, I fall in love with it all over again, and I've mentioned this many, many times. I just love it. I love the silks and the way it looks and just the variegation, and I could easily be monogamous with this whip until it's done. So yeah, this is one I could be stuck on in a positive way. So that's what I'm choosing to do with it. And then I think that's about it. Penalty stitches is the same. It is 1,000 stitches because that's how many we are tasked to do, but it'll be on your oldest whip. If you can't pick something, or you don't feel like picking something, or you just want to work on your oldest whip, do penalty stitches. 1,000 on your oldest. Get some stitches in, get some of that done. But that's pretty much all we are. That's where I'm at. I think that's all I have to say about magical stitches and Daily 30. Oh, semi-sane. We did switch over to the letter D on the 12th. So it's been a few days now, but we did switch over. So there's that. Now, just real quick, I don't necessarily have a haul, but I want to show progress and talk about Valentine's Day. So this, I've already showed it, but here it is again. This is Book Lover's Bookshelf. I got 200 in last week, but I don't know if I've shown it in a while. So there we are. Featuring my dogs. And here is Letters from Hogwarts. Look at that. So I actually have quite a bit of the border. It goes all the way down here, but it's hard to see. There we go. This like off-white creamy. So I could have kept going, but I'd need to move the Q snap down. So I actually decided, since this is still like in frame I just broke my nail. Can you see that? Oh no. Q snaps are dangerous. Goodness. But I am actually up here. This is actually considered chapter 5, but this is the cauldron that I have been working on, and we are making the love potion, and I am actually really excited. It's kind of nice. Like I don't mind the border. The border is actually really, really easy, but it is nice to have like this section, and I'll be able to have like this section done and just be able to move on. I'm going to move down and over. That is my plan. So this is so much fun to work on. It is a huge piece. This is honestly, I believe, the biggest piece I've ever undertaken, but it is a joy to work on. I really like the fabric. I love that it was custom dyed for this specific project. My dogs are fighting, playing. They're going to need to be separated. It's a lot of fun. I really am enjoying working on this. So that's my stitching. Now, fun thing you should know, and I mentioned at the top, I bought myself Valentine's Day gifts because, one, I wanted to, but also, my husband and I don't really celebrate Valentine's Day, and we do that on purpose. My birthday is at the beginning of the month, then the next week is Valentine's Day. The week after Valentine's Day is my husband's birthday, so his birthday is this coming weekend, and then the week after that is our anniversary. So there's a lot that goes on during this whole month, like these next 4 to 5 weeks. There's a lot. So for us, we decided way back when that out of everything, obviously Valentine's Day wasn't that important. Our anniversary is much more important to celebrate to us than a commercialized holiday celebrating love. We can choose to love each other every single day, and if we really want to pick a specific day to highlight it, we will do so on our anniversary. So it's just never been a big deal, and I've never cared. Especially, like I said, with my birthday first and then his birthday after, and then follows our anniversary. Like, there's just a lot there to celebrate, and so we just, yeah. Plus, growing up, there really wasn't a lot of focus put on Valentine's Day for me. Because, so my parents were divorced when I was really young, and my mom remarried, but my dad stayed single. And every year on Valentine's Day when I was a little girl, I was trying to say kid and girl at the same time. When I was a little girl, my dad would show up on Valentine's Day, and he would have a card, and usually a really cheesy card, and one of those like red foil wrapped boxes of Russell Stover chocolate, and he would have one for me and one for my sister. And he did this every single year because he told us that my sister and I would always be his Valentines because he loved us the most out of anyone in the world. And so for me, yes, Valentine's Day was this show of love, but I always had it through this rose-tinted film of my father's love. So Valentine's Day was special for me because of that, not because some other man in my life made it so. And trust me, that's a hard thing to live up to when your dad has been doing this since you were little. But this was my first Valentine's Day without him. And I mean, obviously he quit buying the chocolates, but he always gave me a card, and he would always call me and we would talk. And as you know, so like as I got older, so like I haven't gotten a box of chocolates from him since I was in college, which admittedly I moved away from home, and it was kind of hard to ship a box of chocolates. So, this year it was unexpectedly hard. I was not really prepared. I think there's been a lot of high emotions. You know, we just got through Christmas, and then the birth of my niece, you know, it would be his granddaughter, and then my birthday and Valentine's Day and my anniversary is coming up, and I had just gotten to tell him that I was married right before he passed. And it's a lot. There's a lot of emotions, and I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of inner turmoil going on for me. So I decided I was going to channel my inner Dan, that was his name, and be like he was. And so I bought myself, it's very silly, but I don't care. And I am not a huge fan of chocolate. I'm really not. But you know what? He bought these, and I would eat every single piece every single year because my dad bought them for me. And so I bought myself hi Kennedy a red foil Russell Stover's box of chocolate. And yes, it's huge. And yes, this is a pound of chocolate. And yes, I'm going to make myself eat it. So I did that. I also decided, because I love peanut butter, I was like, I might as well get something I actually enjoy eating. So this is Be Nutty. They make gourmet peanut butter. I had just learned about this. I'm actually really excited. So they make this sampler pack. There are 10. There are 10. No. Yes. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. Okay. There are 10 different gourmet peanut butters in this box. In 2-ounce containers. And I am beyond excited. I love peanut butter. I am definitely the eat it out of the jar with a spoon peanut butter lover. And no shame. I have always been like this. So when I found out that this was a thing, I was like, I'm buying this for me. And I did. And I'm like, there's things that I never would have thought. Like that one says peacefully plain, but this one is joyful cranberries, irresistible pretzel, blissful blueberries, skinny dip. That's funny. Simply salted caramel. Ooh. Like some of these I'm a little nervous about, like the cranberry and blueberry one. Not sure about putting cranberries in my peanut butter, but that caramel or just the skinny dip where it's granola, various nuts, and honey. Bless you. I'm excited. I am so excited to try these. So maybe stay tuned. Maybe we do a taste test. I don't know. I'm just overjoyed with myself. And this was not, I want to say it was maybe like $25. Like, I don't know. I thought it was reasonable. I have what? 20 ounces of peanut butter. My husband was just like, okay. Oh, dang it. My neighbors are too nice to me. We got a lot of snow overnight, and I had to like shovel my way out of the driveway this morning, and one of my neighbors just came by with his snowblower and did the end of my driveway for me. It's really nice. We are more than capable. Don't worry. Like, it's just my husband works really long hours. He won't be home till after 8 o'clock tonight, and we don't have a snowblower. We just have shovels, so we have to go out and do it by hand. And I did shovel this morning when I was trying to get my way to work and got my son off at school, but obviously I was in work clothes and it was cold and I didn't want to be late, so I didn't do a good job. So it's actually just really nice to see that he just came over and did that for us. So I'm gonna have to go write him a thank you note. But anyways, last thing I want to show, and I'm going to wrap this up because I do have my awesome little boy in that other room who is waiting on me to finish so that we can watch a baking show together, or maybe something else. Great British Baking Show. We'll see. But he made me a Valentine. He made his dad and I a Valentine, and I wanted to show it because I think it is beautiful and wonderful and absolutely adorable. He made us this. Dear Mom and Dad, I love you because you play and take care of me. Is that not the sweetest thing? So this has been sitting on my desk here at home because it makes me happy. But yeah. Oh, let's wrap up with books and movie TVs, and I'll let you go. So what have I been watching? I've been watching more Forged in Fire still. Lots of Forged in Fire. Great show. It has inspired both of my boys to want to be blacksmiths, to the point where my son has created his own blades out of cardboard and foam, and they are very good. He was very creative. That was a good afternoon. And my husband is trying to convince me that we could have our own forge, and I don't think so. We watched Bridgerton. Oh my goodness, we did. I now understand the hype. Now the funny thing is, I have known about this for a while, actually, because, as most of you know, I work for the library. And a lot of books come across my desk, and so I actually am already familiar with the book series that this TV show has been based off of. It is the Bridgerton series by Julia Quinn. The first book is The Duke and I, and then the second one is The Viscount Who Loved Me, or something like that. There's like 6 or 7 books in total in the series, but it follows the Bridgerton family during this Regency period and trials and tribulations and love and blah, 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 blah. and they've adapted it to this Netflix series, and it was good. I didn't realize there were only 8 episodes, but it was so good. My husband and I both sat down and watched this together and loved it. We held hands, and I think I cried more than he did. I think he might have teared up once or twice, but like I cried, and he held my hands, and we said we loved each other, and blah 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 blah. It was very cute. It has its really great like high tense moments, and yes, it is very good. It lives up to its name. It lives up to its hype. Absolutely go check it out. The one thing I want to mention, and only because it kind of rubbed me the wrong way, is I had posted about this on Facebook in one of the online Stitcher groups. I had posted just a screen cap of like beginning of episode 3 saying, I know I'm not the only one. This show has me putting my stitching down and actually watching TV. And most people responded really positively. I got a lot of, oh my gosh, love this show, or can't wait to watch it, blah, 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 blah. But I did have one individual in particular who commented on my status, and now I don't know this person personally. I've never interacted with them. I've never talked to them. As far as I know, they don't watch my videos. They don't know who I am as a person, and I am taking that into account. But it felt as if they left rather a passive-aggressive comment on my post within like minutes, and they just said, seriously, period, but the books are so much better. And then she attached a GIF or a GIF or whatever, however you pronounce it, and it was of this man, and it is in all capital letters, and it just was like this guy screaming, and it said, read the book. And I just was like taken aback. I was not prepared, and it just struck me as rude. I'm not gonna lie, it did, because like I said, I have taken a few days to kind of step back and reevaluate my feelings, and I recognize they don't know me, but I think that's why this has upset me so much, is she doesn't know who I am. She does not know my preferences, what my interests are. She does not know my job or me. So she makes this comment about how I need to go read these books without any knowledge of the fact that I work at a library, that I have a love / obsession / addiction to books of all kinds, and that I already am familiar with this series of novels. And so it just rubbed me the wrong way, because in that moment she made a bunch of assumptions about me unfairly and falsely, because I had just posted a screenshot of a TV show. And I guess really why I'm sharing this is because it did get under my skin. It did rattle me a little bit, just because I wasn't prepared, and it just kind of made me uncomfortable, especially since I had seen other people posting about Bridgerton, and it had gotten lots of happy, upbeat comments about it. So I don't know why mine did, but yes. All this to say, be kind. Not that I think any of you aren't kind. I think I'm actually very lucky to have the support group that I have, and the friends that I have, and the people in my life in this community. That was just an example of how sometimes we say things before we know the whole picture and we know the whole truth. So please just keep that in mind. Maybe the next time someone posts something and you have a strong feeling about it, and I have a feeling this person has been inundated with all of these Bridgerton posts and probably read the series a long time ago and is very frustrated because they probably feel as though this series that they love is being taken from them by people who only know it from this TV show. And I understand that. I really do. All of us book lovers who have had a book that we enjoy taken from us and made into a TV show or a movie have all gone through this, where suddenly it's been really, really popular, but everyone only knows it because it was on screen. I get that feeling, and I know that feeling. But that doesn't mean we need to lash out at people. which I guess is why I think kindness is the most important thing that we can be, is the most important thing you can have, and being kind is the most important thing you can do as a person, and to treat others with kindness and to treat yourself with kindness. And so I'm going to leave that there. I just want us to all be kind. So I'm going to wrap that up. Still reading Percy Jackson. Probably going to finish that this week. I have not yet actually started The Color Purple. I need to do that. I finished The Woman in Cabin 10, and talk about a slow burn. Like, literally slow, and then a burn. I thought the first, quarter of the book was ridiculously slow. It took forever. There was a lot of background building and setting and character development that just honestly got on my nerves. And I really found myself, constantly looking, because I listened to it as an audiobook, constantly looking to see how much time had passed or how much time was left in this chapter, because I just didn't see the point in what some of those chapters were for. And I got really annoyed. Not gonna lie. But then, basically, once, because it's all about how she's on a cruise ship, once she got on the boat, it took off. And then I didn't want to put it down. So, even though it took a while to build up, once it got going, I really enjoyed it. I didn't see the twist coming. Is it a little far-fetched? Absolutely. But what novel isn't far-fetched? And I think that's the beauty of it. It was so out there that you weren't going to sit there and figured it out, which I like. So, finished that. What else? And then I started oh gosh, I am currently on reading Into the Water by Paula Hawkins. That is my current audiobook, and it is good. It is so good. Normally I try to only listen to my audiobooks when I am at work. It's a good thing, I can listen to an audiobook for several hours uninterrupted at work, and then I'm good, and then I can go home and do other things. But this book has me sucked in. Also, I try to separate it, because it's when I'm at work, I can listen to it because I'm doing a task, but when I'm at home, if I'm going to be reading, I would like to be sitting down with a physical book at home. That's just how I am. Because I feel if I'm listening to a book at home, I need to be doing something. I need to be doing chores or something like that. So, I can't. It's I feel bad if I watch or listen to an audiobook and cross stitch at the same time. That's too much luxury. It's too much relaxing to do one or the other. But this book has sucked me in from the beginning and has gone in a direction I was not prepared for. And it is one of those things where I have slowly figured it out as it has come along. And that, to me, is brilliant. If I can figure it out within the first 5 minutes, and then it's laid out before me, it's not as enjoyable because I've already had that big aha. But I've got maybe 2 hours left, less than 2 hours, and I just was able to go. I was driving because I cheated. I was I can't. I downloaded it, put it on my phone so I could listen to it in the car, at home, on the go. And I was driving, and I had to pause the audio and went, talked out loud to myself and went, wait. This led to this, which means this is this, and that's connected to this, which means reveal. And I had that I've got it. And then I pressed play again. But I still, I have about 2 hours left, and I'm going, but how does it tie in? But it is very good. I am really enjoying it. And she is the author who wrote The Girl on the Train. Now, I own this book, but I have never read this book. And I've actually been told that this is kind of a good thing, because I've seen it could go either way, where some people are like, if you've read her previous work, you're coming in with this preconceived notion of like something of what to expect with her, versus I have not read any of her work. I've not read Girl on the Train. I haven't watched the movie. I don't know anything about it. I have intentionally sealed myself off from it until I'm ready to go into that. I am very good at avoiding things when I'm not ready for them. I managed to avoid all of the Bridgerton spoilers and everything like that, and I'm very good at avoiding those things if I don't want to see them. And so I actually, when Girl on the Train became really big, I just like pushed it all out, because I wasn't ready to read it or anything. Once I'm ready to, that's a whole other story. Anyways, so I've walked into this novel blind, not really knowing who this author was. Like, I didn't even put it together until a coworker asked if I was reading it and started talking about Girl on the Train, and I was like, I don't. So that to me is really helpful, because I've come into this completely blind and have no preconceived notions, and so I've been able to just let this story take me where it wants to go, and I am all in. So check it out. It is very good. I will say there are some trigger warnings for suicide and rape and violence, so please be aware if you are sensitive to those kind of topics. I really wasn't aware of it at first, and so the first little bit was kind of jarring for me, but I think it is really well written in a way so that it was not disturbing. Unsettling, yes, but not like causing me to freak out and put the books down kind of thing. But just be aware. So I'm gonna go now. I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna be done for the day. I want to go hang out with my kid and do some stitching, and yeah. So I will talk to you guys later. So happy reading, happy watching, happy stitching, happy listening, happy doing whatever it is that makes you happy. I will talk to you guys later. Be easy with your hearts.